Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today we are opening season 8. We are having a season 8 that is going to be as the name of it is named. We are going to have a spectacular season because we are going to have a number of episodes on spectacular singing. Of course, you know that spectacular singing means super high notes, plenty of ornaments, trills and everything that people love about singing and that leaves us wow. That's what this season is going to be about. Of course, this is a season that I am going to enjoy a lot because all the hard work is going to be on Katya's. She's going to do all the job here. All the hard job is on her back. That's for me enough of a reason to be happy about this season. But I know that you all will enjoy. As to date, we're not sure how many episodes we'll have. We have pre-selected a number of arias that monthly aria Katya is going to be singing. And today we are opening with a very well known, a super hilarious piece that Katya is going to share a piece just now. Because sopranos are the only tessitura who can build a piece around laughing and get away with it. Well, we were joking just before the program that maybe Mephistopheles, but Mephistopheles when he laughs, ha 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 ha, ha. But it's not only laughing, and it is not known as Mephistopheles laughing piece, right? So we know that he laughs, but it's not everything around laughing. And of course, that has to do with the particularities of the sopranos that have a high tessitura, as it is the case of Katia, because any other much lower tessitura trying to do it will have very unfortunate results. Very unfortunate results. And there are many things that I wanted to ask you, Katia, and I know the public is going to enjoy. But the first thing that I wanted to ask you, and please be very open in your answer, personally, even if it's not my area, of course, I think,
We already heard it's not your area.
sorry, it's not my area. Uh, I think that for the range of the coloratura sopranos, this is an easy one.
Sure. Yeah, it's not the highest. It's not the song with most notes per second. It's one of the easiest ones.
It's
Yeah.
a fairly easy one because if I read well, I was taking a look at the score earlier and I noticed that the highest it's a D. If I read well, uh, yeah, it's a D, right? That's the highest
Yeah.
note in the score, which for a soprano that reaches an E or an F, it's just if it's not super easy, it's not complicated. So in terms of highest notes, it's not super high, even though that at the ending, and we will be talking about that in a second, because the ending is also very weird, at least in the score that I have, because after the high note, it goes for a trill and then descends to a G, which is super weird. I don't think there is any soprano who would sing it like that. Not even the public would accept something like that. But we will get there. So my first question resolved. It is not the most difficult because it doesn't have the highest notes and it doesn't have too many notes per second, as it's usually the case for Rossini or other bel canto or baroque pieces. But, and this is very important, I think, I would like to make a parallel to the program we had in season 7 when we talked about the rock star, when we talked about Musetta, because of course Musetta is a Puccinian role, and we are talking about the Fledermaus, which is a role of operetta, which turns out to be super cheerful, happiness, and having fun all the time. But that's, in my perspective, what could make it difficult from an interpretation point of view. Because I was thinking, you cannot have a soprano who opens only my Herr, Marquis, like slow, like not brilliant. It has to be, even if it's not difficult, the way you have to emphasize that tararan tan tan tararan tan tan has to be playful. So maybe a little going back to, if you agree that it could be compared to Musetta in terms of being also a rock star. Well, how do you feel about this opening phrase?
Well, the most difficult part for the beginning, I would think that it is to caught the eye, everybody's eye, because it is where you introduce yourself in this playful and cheerful character. My Marquis, my name is C. You have to charm from the very first bar that you're singing.
Yeah, and very not only from the very first bar, from the very first notes. Because if you let go mine, you know, too simple, not attractive, my heart, daddy. People may not fall asleep, but you didn't get the attention all at once. And
Yeah.
Adele, by far, is like Il Barbiere in Il Barbiere di Siviglia. You know, everybody has to take a look at Figaro. Same way with Rosina. Everybody knows Rosina is there. Same way with Musetta. Everybody looks at Musetta. And now everybody's looking at Adele, who has from my perspective, and forgive me, baritones, the other soprano, the Mr. Orlovsky, because for me, the superstar, even when she's not singing, it's Adele. Because if you recall her in the first act, she's super funny. This is a role that I think that, even if not the most difficult, because it will not really challenge you vocally, I think this is one of the roles that it's worth to be sung by many sopranos just to have fun. No other justification, but just to have fun.
Yeah, probably this character, it's more, well, you have to take it more as an actress than as a singer. Obviously, you have to take care about your technique, your collocation, reading, blah, 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 all the things we mentioned in every program. But in this case, when you are standing in the middle of stage, because okay, when you are singing any aria, you are on stage, but you're moving, and all the eyes are on you. But in this case, not just the public is looking at you, but your partners. The rest of the cast is looking at you. So you have to make that believable.
And the sound, well, it is natural to the high coloratura sopranos to have this brightness in their voice, but in particular, Adele has to be very bright, has to be very attractive because the other soprano, the other tessitura, more like a lirico spinto, Rosalinde, of course, sings on a different key, and her music is written differently, but it has to be very clear the tessitura of Rosalinde and the tessitura of Adele, right? If the shardas are somehow also a happy, nice piece, it's the opposite compared to this what is called the laughing song. But we are going to get
Yeah.
go ahead.
Okay. I want to mention that it is probably a song written for a light soprano because even when you have to use your vertical voice, your entire voice, your whole voice, It has to be like you said, pretty bright. You can start singing mine using probably a little bit more of your chest voice. Mine, mine, Marquis. It has to be up in your head voice, so it will make it brighter.
Yeah, that can be very challenging. I think this is also one of the pieces that is advised for young light sopranos, which again I would say can be kind of tricky because the way you have to manage the right I would say proportion of, of your
Yeah.
head and, just voice is very tricky because you could say, "Oh my hammer," that looks like very low, so you would immediately think of your chest. But too much chest would make lose the brightness of the note. So you really have to be because there is a second thing that I wanted to share. Um, no, not for the not so easy for a beginner singer to understand, but there is a second reason. There are not so many notes for guiding the singer on the score. There are a couple ligaturas here, there is a smorzando there, is a but it is not like sometimes when you read Puccini that you have like 20 notes. Soffocante, allegretto, ta, 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 ta. which which by giving these very few notes to the singer, in my perspective, makes it more difficult because he has to study more. He has to build everything just to make the role believable. But those are the two things why I wouldn't think this is adequate for a beginner singer. One, there are parts that can be tricky that can lead you to think this is chest voice. May not. And the second, there are not many notes to guide you from the composer. So you have to be very smart to say, how do I make ta da da ta ta? How do I make it not monotonous? How do I make it not predictable? But how do I make it so attractive that before I finish my first sentence, everybody is like, wow, this is Adele. How would you how would you suggest any soprano who wants to work on this area to take a look at what could be called a simple score because it doesn't have many notes?
Well, it was in first place a surprise for me. I have this beautiful book, coloratoria arias for soprano, and when I just got this lovely work, I found this aria, and my first thought it was like, what is this song doing here? Exactly because, because there are not so many notes. The highest note is not as high as uh, other songs are graded. But then I thought, and I was analyzing before the program, that it has to do a lot with the speaking voice, like we have mentioned in some programs ago. Um, if you have a right collocation of your sound the entire time, it will be a spoken song. I don't know, no. If you probably pay attention to the way I naturally laugh, you will notice that it's pretty similar as is written here in this area. So I think that's probably the reason that this song belongs to this book.
And laughing is not easy.
Well, probably not all the time.
At least not for other tesituras. Be- be-
Not for other tessitors. It won't sound as playful as it will sound with a light soprano.
And also, because naturally laughing is a little higher than our speaking central tone. And if we are speaking and suddenly we say ha ha ha, immediately you notice that I go high ha ha ha, even if I'm just speaking, because that's what we are. We as humans are naturally wired, right? That's how our brain says, to express joy, I need to go higher than the tone or the pitch that I am speaking. That's what happens. But the problem is when you have a much wider voice that makes it not so believable for singing, at least maybe for a natural communication conversation between friends and colleagues it could sound natural, but for singing it may not. But let's keep moving on the score. So ta-da-dun, dun, dun, ta-da-dun, dun, dun, ta-da-da-da-da, dun, dun. And I also wanted there are these groups of usually five syllables or five written runs, ta da 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 da, that Strauss has put, and that have to be. I'm not sure what the adjective could be. I wouldn't like to say precise because that would lead us to think very academically, but that they are put like to like to make the content or the message progress, but progressing in pieces instead of having a super long phrase, ta-da-dun, dun, dun, ta-da-dun, dun, dun, ta-da-da-da-da-da-dun, ta-da-da-da-dun. And this is like putting the messages in chunks. Ta 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 tan ta pause. Ta da da ta tan pause. Ta da da ta 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 tan pause. Ta da da ta tan. And this is how the complete aria is built around. But that in a way it can be, if not predictable, that this is the way it is grouped. From my perspective, again, going back that you are going to be a superstar, you have to catch the attention. Everybody is looking at you, and you have to be playful all the time. You cannot get or pass any of these small chunks of music because you will lose the attention. So
Yeah.
it's like a simple piece for what we said. It doesn't have those many complications, but at the same time very complicated because you have to continuously catch the attention in these groups. What are your thoughts on that perspective?
I think that is written. Probably there are not many indications, but if you can feel this like about because it's in pam 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 pam, it will guide you. As a girl, you know that the guy is the one who guides you when you're dancing. Well, in this case, the music is guiding you. It moves by itself.
And also, even so, well, for people who are not musicians, let me tell you that music, if played as written if sung as written, is more like a machine with lots of time, very and the use of the
Yeah.
metronome and all that. So, but the trick here is that the singer, and moreover, as it is the case of the all the arias and songs that we will cover in this eighth season, because even well, it's easy when you have two or three or four notes in the bar, but as it is going to be the case for many others where you have 16 notes or even more in a bar, how precise you have to be for making, for example, a ascending scale and then a descending scale and falling time for the following bar because the orchestra keeps going. So you have to, well, there are many exercises for that, but depends on your teacher and the school and how you were trained. But many people clap or many people do other things just to keep you in the rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's the easy because between that 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe there are four notes, four notes, four notes, four notes, right? And ascended and descended and that trill and something, the shakatura, and crescendo, and everything like that. So that's where everything makes it complicated. But the reason why I wanted to mention this like mechanical way of music being written is that the singer has to bring the magic so that it doesn't sound like a machine. because if it sounds like a machine, it loses all sense. You ta da ta 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 in tempo, ta da da
Yeah.
ta ta. Ta, even if you gave the notes, but you know, I made it on purposely seco. Ta 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 tan, ta 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 tan. Like if you had a mechanical puppet just doing that
Yes.
sound. Ta da da ta ta. But Adele is attractive. So ta da 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 ta 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 da da ta ta. Like playing, you see. This is the other thing that I wanted to ask you. You know that you have to play with certain syllables and certain notes and maybe give it a little extra duration or give it an extra intention. Ta-da-da-ta-ta, ta-da-da-da-da, na-na-na. Of course, it depends on interpretations, many things that you have to build, but you also have to study and decide how you're going to do it.
Yeah,
Go
sure.
ahead. No, no, go ahead.
Yeah. You have to study a lot your text and make it of your own because in this case you will find which phrase, which word needs more emphasis, and that will make that your version will be different for the any other one.
And amongst those places where you can add your own personality and your intention, there are not many. Well, there are not many if you're a coloratura soprano, of course. If you're if you're a standard singer, you may say, well, these are too many. But if you are a soprano used to read Rossini or any other bel canto, you know that you read 100 notes per area. But in this case, when you have when you have what I will call small ascending scales, small compared to many others, even though it is small and it is not as challenging because it doesn't even cover a whole octave, it still has to be. mm, and I think that could be more part of a studying on these ascending and descending scales. Because again, when you're studying it, of course, your main concern is, oh my God, D, E, G, D. You think of the series of notes when you're ascending and you're descending. But if you let your mind go there, you will forget that it is Adele making this beautiful short small scale because it doesn't reach an E, it doesn't go that high, it doesn't have 16 notes in between. It just has 5 notes until she reaches the peak, but she has to make it right with a very homogeneous and nice sound. Because otherwise you lose the effect. I mean, you come from da 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 da, and then you go to reach the Harris Dolphin Wanders Fuller. That one. Um, how do you advise or what is your approach to those ascending series of notes and still remain being Hadel?
Well, well, that's a difficult question. Well, in the first place, I try to practice scales every day. Uh, and I have trained my voice. I just play the chord. But all the pitches are already within my brain and within my voice. So I'm trained in certain way that when I approach to this kind of music and I found scales, it's pretty easy to recognize them, and then I don't have to pay too much attention to every single note and checking if I'm not it's going on here, and that let me sing it with familiarity and with self-confidence because I'm already trained to sing several notes without a guide.
And it is also said, and depends on the training you had for your voice, but many singing teachers have their students work on scales, ascending scales, and many exercises like that. But truth is that if you're a lyrical tenor or moreover a spintor, a dramatic tenor, you will hardly ever need to sing a scale. So ascending or descending, most likely you will never be required to do so. And if you're a
We don't even have cadences.
and that's why if you have the episode for La Donna Mobile, in fact, was published this Thursday, just 2 days ago that it was published, and I make lots of fun around the cadenza because exactly because since the male voices, unless you are a light tenor leggero, unless you are a light tenor, you are never asked to work on your agilities. And so, since you're not demanded to work on your agilities, and you find your cadenza, and everybody is expecting the cadenza at the end of La Donna Mobile, and I recall it because I had lots of fun on that episode, because that's when you listen to a great number of disasters that tenors do that. From my perspective, there are maybe no more than five tenors that have done it properly. One of them being Luciano Pavarotti. Luciano Pavarotti has a very nice way of singing it. Ramon Vargas, of course, would be a second name. But besides them, and a few, very few others like Alfredo Kraus, there are not many places left for good interpretations. So if you're attending an opera house and you're listening to your tenor, something like going backwards and backwards. It's basically because they are getting lost.
They should better cut it off.
Maybe that
Just
would be,
go
but
to the next bar. Go to the next bar.
yeah, because basically people get lost. So, but well, the reason I mention it is because this program is not only if you are studying or if you are at a light or a high tessitura soprano, it is for all singers. But I still think that at least basic exercises on scales need to be kept for all tessituras because it also trains you to have a more homogeneous emission. So I would I suppose, Katia, that it is your case for your students that you have them work on. If not, of course, you are not training them to be Il Conte d'Almaviva in his final aria. Of course, maybe not, but at least you tell them, you give them basic exercises on that, right?
Yes, now that you mention it, one of my students is a very young baritone. He's about 23, 20, 24 years old. Uh, and I know that he will never ever be the queen of the night. We both know that. We know that. But we always practice scales and agilities. And I have to say that even when he has a large and deep voice, he floats his sound. When he has to sing something from zarzuela or he has to sing an ornament, really in his color, in his voice, but it sounds really good. It's a very clear sound. You can understand the notes that he's singing.
And that, now that you talk about clarity, uh, remember, and of course, we all want to be Verdian baritones because Verdi wrote extraordinary roles for baritones. But if you think of Il Conte di Luna in Il Trovatore, where Verdi he was in the middle way of drama and bel canto, "Di geloso amor sprezzato," usually the baritone sprezzato do something like sprezzato because they really cannot sing the notes in between, and most of the times it sounds messy because even the baritone moves a little the head and the throat to try to give this quality of sound like vibrating coming down and making the ornament. But truth is that when they do it they usually don't achieve it. But Pay attention to the recordings you know of this part in Il Trovatore, and notice that you hardly ever can identify the notes the baritone try to sing, and it's because they are not really singing it. They are doing so.
He's dance.
Prezzato,
He's singing.
fuoco, and sounds like that. And it is not supposed to sound like that.
No.
So if you're of any tessitura and you're having trouble doing basic ornaments, I think you really should be working on them, because that will make your life much easier, not only for those areas that you will never sing, but the rest of your singing. Certainly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's totally right. This boy can trill and you understand what is he doing.
It will be very interesting in a future to listen to his voice. But let's go back to the area, and let's find out why it is known as the laughing song. That's the simplest way to do it. We haven't mentioned that basically Adele is talking about, well, I am cute girl. I have a beautiful body. I look so attractive. So I can understand. How do you pretend I can be someone else? That's basically the message. And that's why it is, as we have mentioned already a number of times, the intention has to be very, very particular. Tra-la-la, así que tú dices, so you say I am that one? No, 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 no. It has to be playful. But let's go back to the laughing. So it is, since they are short notes, and let me find them to put them on the score on the screen so that you identify. Here is where the laughing part starts, and it is also not a super high R area to be singing those notes. Well, not for a high soprano, of course.
No, 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 it's just the middle.
It's barely high for them to do it, but well, you already mentioned that it is for you natural, but how do you suggest other singers to go for this part that can be a nightmare as well?
I don't imagine how this can be a nightmare because I already laugh like this. Yeah, try to study a lot your staccatos also because sometimes when we sing long notes, we have the chance to attack, and if we are not making it in the best place, we move it, and it finally finds its better position. But in staccatos, it's like you have just one bullet shot, and it has to hit in the point. So you have to study this with a lot of precision. Yes, call me, and please don't sing it. You're laughing. Yes, call me, it is okay. Do we say, baby, no, 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 no.
No,
You
no.
can't sing that. No, no, no. We don't do that things here.
Yeah. Also, thanks for mentioning that, because this may be a little difficult. We have mentioned in the past that operetta, as well as zarzuela and musicals, are usually for singers who are really not singing opera. So they sometimes are seen as not as good or as perfect voices. So they could go for this, what some people call second level genres, zarzuela, musicals, and operetta. So, but when an opera singer goes for this role, they take it as if it was an opera, and it is just as you showed us as a soprano, opera soprano could do it that laughing. Please, no, no. No, absolutely not. Of course, we know you're a soprano. Of course, you know blah, etc. Of course, we know that you can do the Queen of the Night and many of those roles. But don't bring that to this Adele because Adele will lose all her brightness if you do it that way.
Yeah, we need to respect the gender, the style, and I always use this example. When you listen a kind of silent night, oh, nobody wants to listen that for no. Probably you are no opera singer, yes, but if you are doing this a little bit lighter, you will still sound like an opera singer. You really have to prove nothing out there.
And now let's move for the final part of the of this song, which of course has a choir that goes with you in the laughing, which by the way is very, I like it very much when the choir joins like this, tra la la la, ha ha ha, tra la la, ha ha ha, ha. Because now you know when the at the unison the voice of the choir and the soprano mix. It's very nice. But of course, since we are talking about sopranos, we all want to make sure the orchestra director and the choir and the soprano, moreover than them, wants to make sure that they shut up before they sing. She sings her last notes. So usually only her voice, and she starts. Let me point it at on the screen. She starts with a trill, and she does. I would again say basic ornaments, which of course, if you're a beginner singer, there is no way you can see it as basic. But for an advanced singer, this is too easy because you say, "Oh my God, this can't be truth," and then you go, "Oh my God." Second, and then oh my God, and now this, and then oh my God, again there is a trill, and then there is a trill again. Now there are many things happening. So, uh, how do you want to suggest that people approach? Because even if it could be the hard or the hardest part of the song, you still want to pass as light as playful, not as a concerned singer, because usually what happens is that the singer is ha 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 ha, ha moving here, moving there, her hands smiling, but when she reaches this part, she usually is like this, looking
Oh
at the
my
phone,
god, no, no.
very concentrated, because she says, if I move, something's going to fail.
And it will probably happen. Oh, no, no, no. Really, really study enough to feel so confident that when you are finally on stage, no matter what happened, it it will sound well. You will be able to make it. So that's why we have mentioned on the program that it is a tricky song because doesn't look like very difficult. But if you stay with this idea and don't practice enough, well, you will find parts where, well, you could be probably in troubles. And in this highest note, in this D, don't try to sing it pretty long or pretty loud. Uh, you're laughing. Try to study a lot, relax, and have fun. Laugh in this song, and if you can apply what you do naturally and organically when you laugh, it will help you a lot because when we laugh we use a lot of air and we also use our diaphragm, but not only that, we are relaxed. And it's certain that when we sing, we are making an effort, we are working, yes, but we can be stressed. We have to be relaxed. If you are thinking really about having fun, that will make you feel relaxed, and I think that will help you a lot in this song.
Because at the end, also the singer, the soprano, is requested to continue playing da 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 dun, da 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 dun, da, and continue playing with that, then go for her high note, which if you're already too concerned, and as I was explaining, if you're already standing there and people are looking at you, da, da, and you look more like Olympia when she when she's losing her energy.
Yeah.
And you know that you have to reach your final note, which I believe it's a C.
Yep.
It's a C, right? Yeah. When you and we also reach. You're concerned about the ornaments before you reach a D, then you are still playing with your notes, and then you descended. That is well so mean. That's so mean on the composer that just before you reach your high C, you are from the depths of your voice, because that will challenge you what we were saying before. If you read this note, then you think, it needs chest. But there is no way you're going to get away with it if you're really thinking of your chest when you have just descended just before jumping to your high C. That's the way you're going to mess it up. So that really really requires a lot of studying, lots of training on understanding how are you going to sing two notes that are in the opposite sides of your register and negotiate it with your voice so that they sound well. Then, as I was saying, you go to your low note, then go, "Ah," then you go for your high C, and then what nobody does, the ornaments, because after the high C, nobody wants to listen anything else, right? So that's
Nobody
exactly what
cares.
when the aria finishes. After "Ta-da," then "ta-da-dun, tan, tan," and that is just the music. "Ta-da-dun, tan, tan." Nobody expects the soprano for for almost three more bars to keep singing a note. I mean, Maestro Strauss, nobody's doing it, so you could have saved
Yeah,
it.
nobody's paying attention.
Is there anything else that you would like to share with
Yes.
everybody now that we're wrapping up this very, 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 very super hilarious, playful, nice piece of music?
Yes, well, a little tip I could share with you. One exercise I also sing at least twice per week. It is a jump. I think kind of. That will make you, that will give you a very homogeneous color, and you will feel this jump from D to this high C, like, oh, you're joining.
Yeah, that will make that one and many other exercises will make your life much easier if you want to sing this one. And of course, if it is already part of your repertoire, we would really, 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 really like to hear from you if you're already working on this piece. And if any of our comments today have made you reflect on how you're working on this part. So we're reaching today's end of this first episode. This season 8 for the spectacular singing is going to be once a month starting today. So we will be seeing in August for the second episode. Hope you will enjoy. Remember that we are premiering these episodes live on YouTube with video, and audio will be disseminated through all other platforms later on the year. But all the premieres of the episodes will be on YouTube. So, pretty much from my side, that's what I wanted to mention. Is there something else that you would like to sing for us, Katia, as a way to wrap up today's program?
I just want to invite you to keep following us. We will not just be talking about this beautiful music, but also the best way to approach if I want to sing something like this.
Absolutely. So, with nothing else to share, thank you very much for having joined us today. I hope you will keep joining us on this season 8. Thank you.